demonstration of how collectively we are all smarter than any one individual. Just out of curiosity, did anybody in the room guess 350 or 352 individually? Exactly that number? Oh, not bad. 350, okay. But it's just a really simple little exercise that you can use when you're trying to explain why we want to pool all of our knowledge for estimating in particular, because the initial range of estimates we got was crazy. But even for other kinds of work, when we come together, we're smarter. We're smarter together. So, really simple little exercise. The next exercise I want to play, I want to hack it again. This is another improv game. Yesterday we did a counting game. We're going to do a slightly different game today. But this is another one of these quick 2-minute games that you can use at the beginning of a meeting to get people in the room, to get people listening to each other, to get people thinking about, oh, how is it that we're going to work together here? So I'm going to explain the rules of the game, and then I'm going to ask you, we're going to do sort of a remote simulation. I'm going to ask you to get up and play back to back again so that you can't see each other, so that we can pretend we're all on the end of a phone line. The game is very, very simple. We're going to start off, the first person is going to say 1 frog. The next person says 2 eyes. The next person says 4 legs. And then the next person says kerplunk, the frog jumps, okay? Then the next person, whose turn it is, says 2 frogs. The next person says 4 eyes. The next person says 8 legs. And then, this is where it gets a little bit tricky, the person after that says kerplunk, and then the person after that says kerplunk. So we have 2 frogs, so there's 2 kerplunks. The kerplunks get treated separately. And then the next person goes 6 eyes, 12 legs, or sorry, 3 frogs, 6 eyes, 12 legs, kerplunk, kerplunk, kerplunk. Everybody understand the mechanism? Okay, it's not complicated. Of course, if you, it's easy. If it turns out to not be quite as easy as we all think it is right now, somebody gets confused along the way, same rule applies. Everybody goes, and you start again. The game is over when you have successfully gotten to 4 frogs, 4 kerplunk, 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 kerplunk. Quick check. Any questions? I'm going to ask you then to stand up, turn around. When you've gotten to 4 kerplunks, sit down. And I'm sort of expecting to hear a lot of ahs, so don't cheat.
So when we restart, so it's going to start.
Then in the next round, 2 frogs. Then how much? 4 eyes, 8 legs. Just a double. 6 eyes. And
12. Two frogs, 4 eyes.
6 eyes.
6 eyes. But only these lists. Just right.
16 legs.
You know what? Why does your group work?
16 legs.
Try to move away from around the table.
Yes, sir, 16 legs.
So that's
4 eyes.
16 16 legs. Eight legs.
Let's start again. Who is starting? I'll start.
6 eyes.
4 legs.
Oh, it's unachievable.
That's, you know what? Let's call it. That's been 2 minutes. So thank you. Thank you. So what did you notice about playing that game? What happened in that game that you saw on your team?
First, it seems very difficult. It seems very difficult. Everybody is confused. And then we tried, and then we were not successful. And then we did some strategy, just write down, multiply the number. And in the next time we did it.
Okay, so it sounds like
failing and improving and then succeeding. Kind of
Collaboration also, we know that we need to do problems.
wow. So there was a lot in there, but because first of all we have to listen to each other, right? And then I heard that there was a lot of failure. Did any team get through this without any problems? Yeah. And it seems like such a simple task. We're just putting together a sentence, right? So this is just a little game that you can use to play with and pull out lessons that you can then talk with the team about first of all, how do we listen to each other? How do we coordinate? How do we make sure that everybody can hear? Have some comments about, well, this is really noisy. I'm having difficulty working this situation. And this is information that as a team we want to pull out. How can we make it possible for everybody on the team to be as tuned in as possible to what the team is doing? The idea of using this to teach failure and iteration and how do we improve. It could be interesting as a challenge to see how long does it take the team to get the first successful round, and then how fast can, once they've had a bit of practice, how fast can they do the later, more complicated rounds? That's another way you could use it. Hadn't even thought of that until just now. I love the analogy to it felt like sprint planning. Do you want to say a little bit more about that?
It helped us. The shared understanding helped us later. We were not having the analogy understood before that.
Yeah, the shared understanding helped later, didn't have the knowledge, didn't have the common reference until then. And you don't have it until you try it, right? You can talk until you're blue in the face about how are we going to do this, but until you actually make it happen, you don't know if the team can do it. Another really interesting lesson there.
So one learning which we had is like how can we celebrate our team success rather than individual success? How we can help each other towards success.
That is a beautiful learning out of this. Thank you. If you didn't hear, the comment was about how do we celebrate the team's success? How do we celebrate that together we accomplished something? And that's another wonderful thing to be talking about with your team. Because as humans, and I'm going to assume that the environment that you work in is a lot like the environment I work in. Currently I'm a coach in the Canadian government. And we're not really good at noticing when things are going well. We notice when things are going really, really, really super well. And we're really good at noticing when things are starting to go wrong. But we don't notice a lot of the times, hey, yay, we did that. If we want to get to that point where we're getting more of the super well, maybe noticing when the, hey, we did that, this is great, is an important team skill. It's also really important in your environments related to that. So I'm going to pontificate a little tiny bit about this. It's to notice when the people who are doing the routine work, not the new, shiny, fast, amazing, oh my gosh, we did this new thing. It's really important to celebrate the, hey, we're keeping the system going, we're delivering regularly, we're doing the things that keep our customers coming in, celebrating that work too. Super critical, super critical. So I think this will be the last game that we'll play today, because the next one is going to take a little tiny bit longer. And how am I going to divide up the room? We have 8 tables that are populated. I think how we'll do this is I'm going to call you table 1, table 2, table 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay? So you're going to, did I count right or did I miss a number? 8 is hard. It's been a long trip already. Okay, so we're going to do an activity, maybe some of you encountered this, that I use a lot to teach about, more about, again, collaboration and really working together. And anybody in this room an expert origami folder?
Not expert, but I'm good.
Okay. So this is another game that involves frogs, by the way. Come on in and grab a table because you are just in time for our last game. Maybe if you want to join one of the tables over here. So we are going to work in teams of 2 or 3 for this. So it has to be at least 2, but if you have 5 people at your table, you can have a team of 3. That's okay. What I'm going to ask you to do first, before I give you further instructions, is get into your team and decide which of you is going to be the product owner on your team and which of you is going to be the delivery person, the developer on your team. Okay, I'll give you 30 seconds to figure out your team and your roles. Go.
We need to make a team of 3 people.
You can be 2 or 3. So if it's a team of 3, it's 1 product owner, 2 developers. If it's a team of 2, it's 1 product owner, 1 developer.
Okay, 1 product owner, 3 developers. 3 developers.
Has everybody figured out who's going to be the product owner?
Repeat the roles, please.
Sorry?
Roles, repeat the
There's 2 roles, a product owner and a developer. Delivery team. If you're a team of 3, you have 1 product owner, 2 developers. If you're a team of 2, you have 1 and 1. Okay? Okay. Because, has everybody got their roles figured out?
Yes.
Excellent. Okay. So I'm going to divide you into 3 groups right now. And I think table 1 and 2, maybe tables 1, 2, and 3, you're going to be group A. And the way Group A is going to work together is, as a team, you're going to turn your chairs back to back so that the product owner cannot see the developer or what the developer is doing. And if you have 2 developers, you're going to sit them that way. Okay? Group B, and I think we'll do, you can be Group B, you can be Group B, and you can be Group B. You can sit face to face. So the product owner can see what the developer is doing, but you won't be able to show them the specification you have. But you'll be able to give them feedback on what you can see they're delivering, okay? Group C, you guys organize yourselves to work however you want. Okay? Everybody understand how I'm asking you to arrange? What I'm going to get you to do is set yourselves up accordingly. Oh, and developers, you're going to grab a couple of sheets of paper for the notepads on the table, because that's going to be your building material. Forward, and you'll get your specification for what you build. Do not show this, if you're in Group A or Group B, you do not show this to your delivery team. Okay, so if you want to grab one of these, pass it around. Specifications for the product that we are going to be delivering. You can talk. You'll be able to talk. See what's going on. Okay?
So I can tell.
You can tell. In 5 minutes. 5 minutes, we're going to see the results. But keep in mind, you can only use words to communicate. Group B, you can give developers feedback, but do not show them the specification. This is confidential information.
We have to explain that?
You can explain it to them, and you can give them feedback.
So you have to make this.
That was right.
You have to make this.
I think we should not tell them. We should tell how it should look like. What is it you want it to look like?
The final shape you see.
diagonal one is meeting.
And bring these points down to the center. Bring the points down to the center. The points have been followed to the line. ओके तो वो जो डायगोनल
और उसको बोल दिया ठीक है राइट तरफ जो हट बनी थी उसके बॉटम की तरफ जो whatever was there did another fold okay बॉटम की तरफ डन करो so that's the bottom left or top right top left
visualize. This is the way. This dotted line is showing that you have to hold from center.
this is the step
First one is this. Then you have to half open.
इसको पकड़ के लेके आओ नीचे ये अब दूसरा भी ऐसे करो ठीक है दूसरा भी ऐसे कर दिया वेरी गुड अब हमें तो अब इसको फोल्ड करना है हाँ इसको अब आपको हाँ प्लेन बनाना है ऐसे हाँ इस तरफ दूसरे से भी ऐसे करना है
ठीक है
ढंग से करो हाँ ऐसे अब इसके बाद आपको क्या करना है इसको अब आपको फोल्ड करना है पीछे की तरफ
ऐसे
ये इन्वेलप बनाना है इनको ये इन्वेलप वाला जो वो मुझे कह रही है ये साथ साथ फोल्ड करना है दिखाने के वैसे कि फ्रेम बन गया हमारा हमने इसको ऐसे कर दिया
one favorite dish I see आजकल नहीं
ठीक है
कुछ नहीं
And then
लेगो से हमारे तो कुछ नहीं समझ में लेगो का डब्बा चलो कुछ बनाते हैं
वो ऊपर वाला करना थोड़ा ये है 2 कोण करने का देखिए
हमें जाएगा
Left. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. So. If I can have your attention, please. Let's do a little bit of a review of what we got for frog delivery. So, hey, if I can have your attention in the corner, please. It's time for our, we'll do a very quick sprint review. And let's start, now you gotta stop folding, guys. It's over. It's over. You're gonna frog stuff.
Oh, we're gonna do frog, but it's a little different from what is out there in the specs.
A little different, but pretty close. Okay. Can anybody kind of demonstrate the action?
Jumping
Jumping frogs.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Well done. That's interesting. Oh, this one's pretty close. And there's a lot of interesting things. Okay. Group A, can you show us your finished work? That's very close. I particularly, can I show this? I love this finished product. I have delivered this finished product at some point in my career.
It's a rattlesnake.
So, yeah, so beautifully done. And then these are fascinating. Awesome.
Hybrid frogs.
So, well, that was an interesting sprint result, I have to say. As the chief product owner of this organization, I'm fascinated by the results, but I do want to applaud you all for your efforts. So let's give you a big round of applause. What was it like working in this group? And actually, this is where, do we have another microphone?
So I think our frog is
I'm going to
quite,
ask you to stand up too so that people can
so
hear you.
our frog is quite near to what needs to be done. I mean, quite near. And what strategy I use, I just imagine how she can fold. So I'm giving her direction like you have to hold the paper vertically. And then, you know, when we did this fold, this one, I told her how we open our purse, how you can, I mean, in layman language. So that's what we are, when you are not seeing your team, development team, you should think a lot how you can make as a product owner work easier and visualize for them. So I think that helps.
Thank you. So what I heard you say there is that you really tried to empathize from the point of view of the developer. That's important. I'm curious to hear an observation from the team over here, simply because I noticed that they were transcribing the specification. When I walked by, they weren't folding at all. They were trying to redraw the specification locally. Did you get any frogs built at all?
No, we didn't know. We thought, so we just drew something, you know, and we even drew those arrows. So we, our product owner told us the specifications, you know, you draw some curves and you know, we were and we have some drawings, you know, some recreation of the specification. We didn't figure, we didn't tell us to draw or to make frogs.
Interesting. Okay. How about at this table? What was your experience like? What did you notice? What did it feel like trying to work this way?
So we both of us were the developer and she was the product owner. So I guess what I observed being when you are
Actually, I'm going to ask you to stand up.
sorry, thank you.
Yeah,
So
no worries.
we were what the observation was when you know that your product owner is not available with you. So we both were following each other. So when she was telling the instruction, and we say, okay, what he's doing, I said, no, this is what she's saying. And then we both, so even though if it was a wrong product, but it was rightly wrong.
I kind of want to retweet that. It was the right product, or it was the wrong product, but it was rightly wrong. So you were working in a different way where the product owner could give feedback. Well, somebody want to share an observation about that? It's also okay to pass.
So the thing is, I have made this. And I made it because our product owner was a bit of, he was in a confusing state. Reason being, all the dotted lines, she was telling us to fold it towards that way. So it was not clear, the specifications were not clear to the product owner. That's right. So that's why we were not getting the right specification. Plus, she was also giving us feedback. That is why I have changed my origami drawing to like 4 to 5 times. So it was a rework sort of thing, which was there. So after the time, the frog was not there at all. So there was a paper which was folded like 50 times here and there. So this is what we got at the end. But yeah.
We didn't know that we were building a frog.
Yeah, exactly.
Interesting. How about at this table?
So this story repeats here again. So my product owner was not aware like what is the specification.
Hold the mic a little closer.
What the specifications are, and we actually struggled with the time. So like the time was also like it's coming up. So finally I took the specifications. I saw the last step, so it's a frog. So right to the back, reverse engineering, and finally we made it. So it's working.
Thank you. I noticed that a couple of people are commenting, wow, our product owner wasn't really familiar with the specifications or the problem that they were trying to solve. That never happens in real life, right? Yeah. I just want to check because I thought maybe it was just me. But yeah, think about that. Who do we need to be a product owner? How about at this table? What was your experience?
I think it was the same story that our product owner, like we started well with him giving us instructions clearly and we following the exact and giving the feedback session. Somewhere in between down the line, he was not able to interpret that what does the images mean and which folds actually need to go in. And that's where like he confused us also, and like we opened up again, we tried to create again, and so eventually I don't think we created again. We created this way.
So again, you delivered something, but it wasn't necessarily the something that was expected. Last group, tell us a little bit about your experience.
So for us it was like our product owner was very collaborative and collaborative in sense she was actually giving very clear instructions what she actually wants. She was aware of what we need to build, and the way we did it was like we were very clear what we have to do, and we were going in that particular way, and that actually helped us to have the actual product, which I would say a product owner accepted that, and I'm assuming that it was the right product.
It's a jumping from. So the crux was, we are going to the requirements parallelly among all of us with the developer.
Nice, nice. Curious for the people over here, did any of the product owners join in on the folding? Actually get hands-on?
Yes.
Ah, okay, nice. So the product owners dove in and helped with the work. What was your experience like?
This is something like a frog that we created, even though we have the liberty to actually interact with each other.
Yeah.
Somehow there was some sense of urgency we were trying to rush through. So we actually did not read completely what has been written here. So we misfolded something, but finally we got something that jumps, but without a tongue like that. So it's not completely adhering to the specifications. So do you accept this? Yeah. So my end user is accepting. So cost come over, yeah. No material is the same. So there is no.
Yeah. And that's really interesting, the fact that eventually you sort of gave up on the specifications, but you got something useful.
Yeah, so maybe this is what he actually wanted, but specification was differently written.
Ah, interesting. Interesting. Sorry, did you have something that you wanted to add?
No, I was just mentioning he made MVP out of it.
He made an MVP out of it. Yeah, we got something that works. Last comment.
So initially my product owner said to draw a shape. He was not clear what to create. So I then when he started sharing me, then we discussed that let's see what is the last step. So there we came to know that we need to create a frog. So instead of drawing, it should be make a frog using paper.
Ah,
so then finally we got this.
Excellent. Excellent. So you were ultimately successful in the end. Interesting. Very interesting. So, interesting range of experiences here, and you can see how it pulls out some of the key learnings about how we might want to work as an Agile team together. And it covers quite a variety of learnings, right? I think what I'd like to do now is I'm going to ask you, rather than having a big group discussion, at your tables, I'm going to ask you to spend a couple of minutes, 2, maybe 3 minutes, talk about how could you take this game back to your organization and use it to help teams think about what they might want to improve, how they work, or how the organization might change. It could be 3 minutes to have that conversation at your table. I love this. This is like a magical power. So I heard a lot, there were definitely a lot of insights as I was walking around the room, eavesdropping on your conversations. I'm just curious if in the course of your conversation, did you have any sort of new ideas about, wow, we could use this game to focus on this particular idea, or something that extends one of the ideas we've already talked about? Do you want to share for a moment?
We have PO training which is being...
stand up and talk to the room, not me.
So we have PO training which is being done in our organization, and this is a good game to take back to as a part of the PO workshop.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, pass it. Just.
Hi. I think the message that we are trying to get out of this game is...
Maybe move away from the speaker. Yeah, just come this way a little bit.
So I think it's not about PO narrating something. It's more about setting protocols. How does basically this communication work? Because whatever, 2 scenarios here. It's like when teams are working from distributed location. They don't get to see each other. They don't get to sit together in the same conference room. Then how do they work? They basically work through conferences, right?
Yep.
And at times protocols don't match, right? They don't work on same frequency. So they both have clarity. Product owner knows what he wants to get done. But if the team is not getting the message despite product owner making all the attempts, in the end, we end up creating something different. And the other point is about this not straight away jumping to execution, because in most of the situations, product owner is not supposed to give you instructions. He's supposed to give you the business requirement, right? So it is, you have to basically think through solutioning.
Yeah.
So solution could be different. So with this example, of course, we were simply, passing on instructions, communication basically.
Yeah.
So to basically bridge that communication gap, I think there should be some ground rules defined as to how do we basically, how are we going to basically work going forward. If we cannot get to meet on daily basis, maybe we can use video conferencing, maybe we can share material beforehand so that we can get through that. So this, I think this is the way we can basically, put some emphasis on when we are training our developers, how to basically work in not co-located scenario. So
yeah, excellent, thank you. I think this is a game that you, just underline the point that came up there, I think this is a game that you, first of all, could play with a remote distributed team as long as you have video. But what came to me as you were speaking is, I think it would be an excellent exercise to run with a new distributed team too, to kind of shake out some of the, how are we going to make this particular team work? Because folding paper frogs is a pretty low stakes activity, right? But the insights that you can get from this about, oh, this is how we're going to need to set ourselves up to be successful in this environment. There's a lot there for an exercise that you can do in 15 or 20 minutes. So we're coming to the end of our time box, so I apologize for not visiting this side of the room to share your insights. But I just want to wrap this up neatly. I've added the URLs to get to the games that we played today to the flip chart at the front of the room. I'll just give this so it's got a little bit less echo. And once again, and these are a couple of great resources if you want to find games that you can use on the fly with your team. The people polling exercise we did with the book and one set of instructions for collaborative origami are available at Tasty Cupcakes. There are a lot of great games at Tasty Cupcakes, so feel free to go there and poke around. And if you have a great game, you can contribute to that repository as well. The other game that we did, the other frog game, the first frog game, Kerplunk, I think it's called Kerplunk. I don't really know. But if you go to teamfirstdevelopment.com to the warm-up games, keep reading until you find it, and you'll probably pick up a couple of other good ideas on the way. And that's a fantastic repository of really quick games that you can bring into any meeting to use as a check-in activity, most of which could be played whether people are in the same room or whether they're at the end of a phone or a video line. They don't require physical interaction. So these are fantastic resources for ideas that you can take into your workplace. And that is my wish for you. I'm hoping that out of the session today, and if you attended the session yesterday, you're walking away with some new ideas about, oh, here's some playful activities that I can take back and try with my team next week, because they are going to help us learn how to work better together, how to deliver better work, how to build relationships with each other as people, because my sincere belief is that's the foundation of getting all the other stuff done, learning how we relate to each other as people together. And I think play is a fabulous way of doing that. So thank you again for coming out to play today. I hope you had fun. I really did. I love the fact that this is my job. I get to come and play games. And thank you for coming today. And I'll just leave this here in case you want to take pictures. Thank you.